The Galactic Council chamber was a massive circular hall floating above a dark gas giant. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the seats, their voices mixing into a storm of sounds. Clicks, growls, hums, and deep mechanical tones. In the center, a glowing platform projected star maps of the outer sectors. It was supposed to be a normal meeting. It wasn't. Without warning, the massive entrance doors slid open. A trembling envoy rushed inside. His robes were torn and his translator device flickered. His large black eyes scanned the room nervously before he shouted in a broken voice, "Humans, they have crossed the outer line." The chamber fell silent. Even the mechanical species paused their rhythmic vibrations. For a few long seconds, no one spoke. Then, slowly, laughter began to spread among some of the younger delegates. A lizard-like leader leaned back and hissed, "Humans? Those primitives? They dare?" An elder delegate with translucent skin and glowing veins leaned forward. "Show the evidence," he said calmly. The envoy raised a small cube. A projection burst into the air. It showed a human exploration fleet near the neutral zone. Dozens of sleek, dark ships hovered around a gas mining station. A calm, firm human voice echoed through the room, translated into every language. "This is your only warning. Do not cross into human space again." The message ended there. No threats, no shouting, just silence. The council chamber erupted into arguments. Some called it a bluff. Others whispered that humans were becoming too bold. A spiked alien with red eyes slammed the table. "They have no right to patrol the outer line. We must act now." The elder with glowing veins closed his eyes. He remembered something. Long ago in the archives, there were whispers about a species that fought like no other. But most believed those were exaggerated war stories from the fringe worlds. On the upper balconies, quiet observers from minor civilizations exchanged worried glances. They had heard the same whispers, stories of humans who fought wars with impossible determination, stories of battles where entire fleets vanished after underestimating them. The council leader, a tall insectoid creature with polished black armor, tapped the platform. "Enough," it clicked. "Humanity has overstepped. We will not let a young species dictate borders to the galaxy." Cheers followed from the arrogant empires. A vote was called. Within minutes, the majority agreed to form a coalition task force to contain humanity. They believed it would be a quick and easy operation. A show of force. Nothing more. As the meeting ended, the envoy approached the elder quietly. "Do you think this is wise?" he whispered. The elder's eyes glowed softly. "No," he said. "But wisdom rarely wins in crowded halls." Far away in the darkness of human space, something stirred. Inside a secure human command station buried beneath a dead moon, officers monitored the council's transmissions through advanced intercept systems. A man in a black uniform leaned over the glowing table. His voice was calm but cold. "They voted for war," he said. The room was silent. Around him, holograms of alien fleets began to light up on the display. Every movement, every plan, humanity already knew. A woman with sharp eyes stepped forward. "Do we issue a response?" The man shook his head. "No, let them think we are quiet. Let them think we are weak." Deep in space, hidden human fleets began to shift. Warships cloaked their signals and disappeared into the void. Listening stations on asteroids powered up quietly. Subspace drones scattered like seeds. Humanity didn't react loudly. Humanity prepared. Back in the council chamber, fleets were being assembled. Massive carriers, older warships, and arrogant commanders readied for what they believed would be a short campaign. The propaganda spread quickly. The coalition will put humans back in their place. Earth is small. The galaxy is large. They will bow. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, old species grew uneasy. An aquatic delegate whispered to a mechanical observer, "Do they not remember the silent wars?" The mechanical replied in a low hum, "Memory fades when arrogance grows." A week later, as the first coalition fleets crossed the border, a strange signal appeared across deep space. It was faint, rhythmic, and untraceable. Alien scientists tried to decode it but found nothing. Some dismissed it as static. Others thought it was a hidden human code. In human command centers, the signal flashed on giant screens. It wasn't random. It was a timer. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens across the galaxy watched the council broadcasts. Many laughed at the idea of war with humans. They saw humans as strange, emotional creatures who built fast but fought clumsily. They didn't understand what was coming. On Earth, cities remained calm. Ships moved silently through dark hangars, soldiers trained in underground facilities, AI fleets calculated strategies in silence. Humanity wasn't shocked. Humanity had been watching the galaxy for a long time. Late at night, in the council leader's private chamber, the insectoid commander stared at the star map. For a brief moment, doubt crept into his mind. Something about the human message bothered him. The tone, the calmness. It wasn't a bluff. It was a warning. He dismissed the thought. They are only humans, he told himself. In space, the timer continued to tick down. The first coalition fleet was called Spearpoint. It was made up of more than 200 ships from 15 different alien empires. Carriers, cruisers, destroyers, and even a few old dreadnoughts pulled out of retirement. Their commanders were confident. Many believed the humans would surrender the moment they saw the armada. At the head of the fleet was Admiral Kor, a tall, red-skinned alien with 4 eyes and a long history of victories against weaker species. He looked at the holographic map on his bridge and spoke with pride. By the end of the cycle, the humans will send us their surrender codes. His officers cheered. But far away, hidden behind a dead star cluster, human eyes were already watching. Spearpoint's mission was simple: enter human border space, destroy a small mining station, and set up a forward base. They believed it would send a clear message: obey or be crushed. The mining station they chose was located near Lagrange 7, a lonely rock drifting in the shadows. Scouts reported no visible defense platforms, no fleets, no activity. It looked like an easy target. Admiral Kor stood on the bridge of his flagship as the fleet dropped out of FTL. The massive alien ships surrounded the station like wolves around a sleeping prey. He gave the order: begin transmission. Tell them to surrender. The comms officer opened the channel. Human station, this is the Galactic Coalition. You are trespassing in shared space. Surrender and hand over control or we will open fire. Silence. The comms officer tried again. Nothing. No voice. No sound. Just the cold background of space. Kor frowned. Scan for signals. Nothing, Admiral. The sensor officer replied. The station seems empty. Empty? Kor's voice hardened. Impossible. There are power readings. Yes, sir, but no life signs. No transmissions. Just automated systems. For a moment, the fleet hesitated. Then Kor smiled. Then it will be even easier. The fleet approached. Fighters launched from carriers. Shuttles prepared to dock with the station. Soldiers armed their plasma rifles, expecting to take over a few miners or technicians. It was supposed to be a clean and quick operation. But when the first shuttle connected to the airlock, the door opened into darkness. Inside, the corridors were cold, silent, and completely abandoned. No bodies, no machines, only faint blinking lights. One soldier whispered over the comms. Sir, this feels wrong. The moment he said it, the trap was sprung. All around the station, the void shimmered. One by one, human warships uncloaked from behind asteroids, moons, and even debris fields. They had been waiting in total silence, using the station as bait. The alien officers froze as their scanners lit up with dozens, then hundreds, of red contacts. The ships were sleek and dark, with sharp edges and strange hull patterns that bent sensor waves. Panic spread through the alien fleet. Multiple unknown signatures. They're human. They've surrounded us. Kor slammed his fists on the console. Raise shields. Ready weapons. Break formation. But it was too late. Human railguns opened fire in perfect synchronized volleys. Blue streaks of hypervelocity slugs tore through the coalition's forward ships like paper. One dreadnought exploded before it could even return fire. Human ships moved with machine-like precision. They didn't scream over the comms. They didn't boast. They simply hunted. Alien destroyers tried to turn, but their sensors were jammed. Communication channels filled with static. Command ships tried to issue orders, but human jammers blocked every frequency. Confusion consumed the fleet. On the human flagship, Captain Reyes stood in a dark room, watching the battle unfold through holograms. Target their command ships first, he said calmly. Do not let them retreat. His officers followed without hesitation. Railguns and missiles rained down on the alien command structure. Within minutes, the enemy fleet had no leadership, no coordination. Human drones swarmed like mechanical predators, attaching to alien hulls, drilling through, and disabling systems from the inside. Admiral Kor's flagship shuddered as a railgun slug tore through its engines. Alarms screamed. Crew members fell to the floor. Kor struggled to regain control, but his navigation was dead. His communications were gone. He stared at the hologram. The entire fleet was collapsing. "This can't be happening," he whispered. "They were supposed to be weak." Across the galaxy, Council monitoring stations picked up fragments of the battle. The reports were confusing. Static, sudden losses, vanished fleets. Some believed the fleet had been ambushed by pirates. Others thought the humans had help. But then the data came in. Out of 200 ships, only 30 escaped. The rest were destroyed, disabled, or captured. And not a single human ship was lost. Back at the Galactic Council, chaos erupted. Delegates shouted over one another. They attacked first. "They slaughtered our fleet." "No, we attacked them first. They have cloaking technology, jammer networks, coordinated AI fleets." The council leader slammed his claws on the table. "Silence," he demanded. But fear was spreading. Everyone could see the numbers on the screen. The fleet they believed would be victorious had been crushed in less than an hour. Some delegates demanded immediate peace talks. Others screamed for total war. Old races stayed quiet, their faces heavy with recognition. One of the oldest aquatic delegates whispered, "The stories were true." Far away on Earth, the human fleet returned to hidden bases. No celebration. No broadcasts. Just quiet efficiency. Repairs began. Ammunition was restocked. Crews rotated in silence. Captain Reyes walked down the corridor of his ship, his boots echoing softly. His second-in-command approached. "The coalition will retaliate," she said. "Of course," Reyes replied. "They think this was a lucky ambush. They don't understand yet," she hesitated. "And when they do?" Reyes looked out at the stars. "Then they'll realize the war already started the day they ignored our warning." In the council chamber, emergency lights flashed. A new vote was being called. The Warhawks shouted for full mobilization. Massive fleets were being assembled across different sectors. Billions of credits were poured into weapons production. But while the galaxy prepared for a grand war, humanity was already 10 steps ahead. Somewhere in deep space, that strange rhythmic signal ticked faster. The Galactic Council chamber had never been this chaotic. Delegates shouted in every language, their voices overlapping in a storm of panic and anger. Holographic displays hovered above the center platform, showing the wreckage of the Spearpoint fleet. Burning ships drifted through space like silent tombs. No one could believe what they were seeing. A small insectoid delegate buzzed nervously. 200 ships, he said, gone. Just like that. Humans destroyed them in less than one cycle. Across the room, a massive reptilian commander slammed his claws on the table. "They tricked us. It was a trap. We will respond with full force." A mechanical delegate with glowing eyes interrupted. "The data is clear. This was not simple luck. It was planned with precision. Every shot, every move, their fleet moved like a single machine." The council leader, standing on the central platform, raised his arms to silence the room, but no one listened. Fear had taken control. Some demanded immediate war. Others whispered about surrender. Behind closed doors, a smaller, secret meeting began. Only the highest-ranking leaders of the major empires were present. The walls were soundproof. No reporters. No lower delegates. At the center sat Elder Thalen, the glowing-veined being who had warned the council earlier. He stared at the star map quietly. Around him, powerful rulers argued like children. "We underestimated them," one aquatic leader admitted. "Nonsense," barked the reptilian warlord. "We sent an unprepared fleet. It was their fault. If we attack with the full armada, humans will fall like everyone else." Thalen spoke softly, but his voice carried weight. "You do not understand. Humanity's silence is not weakness. It is calculation." The room grew still. Thalen tapped the hologram, pulling up restricted archives. Old files glowed red. "Centuries ago," he said, "there were stories of a young species in a forgotten sector. They fought wars against older, stronger empires and won. Records were sealed because no one wanted to admit a new predator had entered the stars. Many scoffed, but a few leaned closer. The images showed old battle records, fleets vanishing, colonies falling without warning, ambushes planned with frightening intelligence. Are you saying these are the same humans? An insectoid leader asked. Thalen nodded slowly. Yes, and now they are far more advanced than they were back then. While the leaders argued, public unrest spread across the galaxy. News channels broadcast endless footage of the destroyed fleet. Citizens from weaker species began evacuating border colonies near human space. Traders refused to enter human sectors. For the first time, ordinary beings across the galaxy asked a dangerous question. What if we can't win against them? Meanwhile, in human space, the atmosphere was completely different. Inside a black command room on Earth, Admiral Celine watched intercepted council transmissions. Lines of alien text scrolled across her screen. She gave a small, cold smile. They're dividing, she said. As expected, Captain Reyes replied. They'll form factions. One will want peace. Another will want revenge, and they'll argue while we prepare. He turned to a display showing hidden shipyards buried in asteroid belts. Giant warships were being constructed at a frightening pace. Drones assembled weapons day and night without pause. Do we respond to their political messages? An officer asked. No, Reyes said. Let them talk. Let them believe they have time. Back in the council, the divisions deepened. Faction 1, led by the reptilian warlords, demanded immediate full-scale war. They wanted to gather the largest armada ever built and strike Earth directly, crushing humanity in one brutal campaign. Faction 2, made up of older, more cautious species, argued for diplomacy or containment. They warned that rushing into war could lead to disaster. And Faction 3, made up of neutral trade alliances and smaller species, simply wanted to stay out. They planned to close their borders and hope the storm passed them by. The council leader tried to unite them, but the debates turned ugly. Delegates accused each other of cowardice. Old rivalries reignited. In the shadows, spies began passing information to different sides. Some empires secretly contacted human channels, sending quiet feelers for negotiation. Others began preparing fleets without official approval. Elder Thalen addressed the entire council one last time. The lights dimmed as he spoke. You think of this as a normal war. It is not. You are facing a species that studies, adapts, and strikes with precision. Their silence is a trap. If you charge blindly, you will not just lose fleets. You may lose your civilizations. But his words fell on deaf ears. The war faction roared the loudest. Pride and fear fused into dangerous resolve. The vote was cast. The council officially declared war on humanity. Massive shipyards were ordered to work around the clock. Fleets from dozens of empires began gathering. The galaxy prepared for the largest military campaign in recorded history. On the other side of the stars, Admiral Celine received the intercepted declaration before it was even made public. Her officers watched her reaction carefully. She simply nodded. Good, she said. Let them gather everything. The bigger the fleet, the harder they'll fall. She looked at a star map showing deep human space. Layers of defense lines, trap zones, and hidden fleets glowed in red. They will think they're hunting us, she said. But we've already built the battlefield. In the council chamber, as celebrations of unity filled the war faction, Thalen stood alone by the window. He looked at the stars with a heavy heart. They do not know what they have awakened, he whispered. The largest armada in galactic history began its march toward human space. Hundreds of carriers, cruisers, and dreadnoughts stretched across the darkness like a moving wall of metal. Their lights glowed like distant stars, their engines roaring through the void. Every empire that supported the war had contributed ships. The fleet carried millions of soldiers, thousands of fighters, and the confidence of entire civilizations. At the head of the armada was Grand Commander Sarath, a cold and ambitious reptilian strategist. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, hands behind his back, eyes fixed on the star map. We will strike fast, he said to his officers. We will burn their defenses, capture their stations, and surround their homeworld. This war will end before it truly begins. His officers nodded, but deep down unease grew. The humans had destroyed the Spearpoint fleet without warning. This time, however, the coalition believed sheer numbers would crush any trick. As the fleet entered the first layer of human frontier, they expected patrol ships, scout drones, or at least warning messages. Instead, they found nothing, no ships, no beacons, no stations broadcasting, just the cold emptiness of space. Commander Sarath narrowed his eyes. Strange, he muttered. A communications officer turned to him. "Sir, no transmissions detected. No signs of defense grids. It's as if they abandoned this sector." Another officer added, "But the star charts show several human listening posts in this area. Where are they?" Sareth leaned forward. "Keep moving. If they are hiding, we'll flush them out." The massive fleet pushed deeper into human space. Hours turned into days. Still no resistance. Just empty stations and silent satellites drifting like ghosts. Some younger officers began to relax. "Maybe the humans are retreating," one said. "Maybe they're smarter than we thought." Others grew nervous. "No species leaves their borders undefended," a veteran whispered. "Something is wrong." Back on Earth, Admiral Celine watched the alien armadas advance on her main screen. Her war room was dark, filled with glowing red lines showing every enemy movement in real time. Hidden sensor arrays and stealth satellites tracked the Coalition fleet silently. "They've entered Layer 1, an officer reported. Celine nodded slowly. "Good. Let them in." On another display, automated defenses powered up deep inside the frontier. Mines, drone nests, and silent rail platforms were all linked to a central network. None of them fired yet. They were waiting for the perfect moment. Captain Reyes stood beside Celine, arms crossed. "They're expecting to meet our fleets head-on," he said. "And they won't," Celine replied. "Not yet. Fear grows best in silence." In space, the alien armada approached a human relay station orbiting a small icy moon. The station looked abandoned. Lights flickered faintly. "No transmission," Sareth gave the order. "Send boarding teams. Secure it." Shuttles approached the station cautiously. They cut their way in. Inside, everything was dark and covered in frost. No bodies, no signs of life. Just empty corridors and sealed control rooms. One soldier whispered through his comms, "It feels like a grave." Another answered, "Or a trap." As they reached the main control room, a single console lit up on its own. A human voice echoed through the speakers in perfect translation. "We know you're here." Before anyone could react, the station powered down again. Total darkness. Panic spread through the boarding team. "Command, we need extraction now." Shuttles rushed back. Sareth clenched his jaw. "Ignore the message," he said. "They're trying to scare us." But some officers noticed something odd. The human voice didn't sound mocking. It sounded calm. Too calm. As the armada moved closer to the inner frontier, sensor readings became unstable. Ghost signals appeared on their scanners. Flashes of movement, strange energy spikes, random bursts of static. No ships were seen, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Night after night, officers reported hearing strange signals on personal frequencies. Rhythmic pulses. Whispering codes. None could trace their origin. An insectoid technician spoke nervously to his superior. "It's like they're everywhere, but nowhere at the same time." Meanwhile, inside a hidden human bunker buried beneath a dark asteroid belt, a group of AI strategists and human officers monitored the enemy. They watched the alien fleet's reactions, logging every moment of fear, confusion, and hesitation. "They're slowing down," one analyst reported. "Exactly as planned," Reyes replied. "The longer they sit in silence, the more their confidence cracks." Celine stepped forward. "Prepare Layer 2. Make them think they've found us, then vanish again." Back with the armada, scouts finally detected what looked like a small human patrol group near a gas giant. A few ships. Weak signals. The fleet surged forward. Fighters launched. Weapons powered up. Sareth saw his chance to strike. "Finally," he growled. An opening, but when they arrived, the ships were gone. Only empty decoys remained. Floating drones broadcasted false signatures. The entire fleet had been a projection. The alien fighters flew through nothing. The enemy wasn't there. Frustration spread through the ranks. "They're toying with us," one commander shouted. "We can't keep chasing ghosts," another yelled. Sareth's calm began to crack. "Press on," he barked. "Their silence won't save them." On Earth, Celine smiled faintly. "They're inside the labyrinth now," she said. Reyes leaned closer. "And they still don't realize they're walking into our chosen battlefield." The human defense network was layered like a spider's web. Each silent sector was designed to lead the coalition deeper, step by step until retreat would be impossible. Back in the council, Warhawks watched the live progress with pride. "Our fleet is deep inside their territory," one boasted. "They are running. Soon we will crush them. But Elder Thalen stood alone in the shadows, worried. "They are not running," he whispered. "They are waiting." As the alien armada reached the edge of the inner frontier, the silent signal that had been ticking for weeks suddenly changed. It grew louder, sharper, echoing through multiple communication channels. It was everywhere at once. Some believed it was a countdown. Others thought it was a warning. Commander Sareth stared at the star map. For the first time, doubt crept into his heart. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being invited forward. "Continue," he ordered finally. "We will not stop." The fleet advanced into the darkness, unaware that every move was being watched. Every formation recorded, every weakness marked. The alien armada entered the inner human frontier like a beast ready to crush its prey. Hundreds of ships filled the darkness, engines burning bright. Fighters swarmed like angry insects. The galaxy believed this moment would end the human threat once and for all. But on Earth, deep inside the command center, Admiral Selene stood in front of a giant holographic star map. Red dots marked the coalition fleet's exact position. Lines showed every possible escape route. All of them were already blocked. She looked to her officers and spoke calmly. "They're inside the cage. Begin the operation." Across hidden bases, signals were sent in silence. Massive underground hangars opened. Stealth warships rose from asteroid shadows. Drone fleets powered up. Rail platforms hidden beneath icy moons locked onto their targets. For weeks, humanity had watched the invaders move deeper. Now every calculation, every trap, every silent delay came together. "Target confirmation complete," one officer reported. "Execute," Selene ordered. In the alien flagship, Grand Commander Sareth felt uneasy. The silent signals had grown louder. His communications officer approached nervously. "Sir, we're receiving the same rhythmic pattern on all channels." "We can't block it." Sareth clenched his fists. "Ignore it. It's human psychological warfare." "Advance to strike position." The massive fleet spread out, preparing to bombard human space installations. Dreadnoughts moved to the center. Carriers positioned behind. Fighters formed attack wings. They were ready to fire, and then the stars around them changed. Thousands of human warships uncloaked simultaneously. They rose from asteroid belts, from the shadows of moons, from behind gas giants. They appeared above, below, and on every flank. The darkness itself seemed to come alive. The alien officers froze. Alarm screamed. "Multiple contacts. They're everywhere. How many ships?" "Too many to count." Sareth turned slowly toward the star map. Red dots surrounded the entire coalition armada like a tightening net. His voice dropped to a whisper. This is impossible." On the human flagship, Captain Reyes stood at his console. His eyes were focused, calm. He raised his hand. "Begin the strike." Human railguns fired in perfect synchronized waves like thunder rolling through the void. Hypervelocity slugs cut through space and slammed into the coalition's forward ships. Dozens exploded instantly. Before the alien fleet could respond, EMP bursts detonated around them, disabling communications and sensors. Fighters lost guidance. Command ships went blind. Chaos spread like fire. Human drones swarmed out in the millions, each no bigger than a fighter but fast and ruthless. They weaved between alien ships, attaching to hulls, drilling through armor and disabling critical systems from the inside. Alien captains shouted over broken channels. "We've lost navigation. Our weapons are offline. Where are the enemy ships?" They were surrounded. And completely disoriented, Sareth screamed orders. "Regroup. Regroup and counterattack." But the fleet couldn't regroup. Every formation was hit from multiple angles. When alien ships turned to face one direction, human ships struck from the opposite side. Human fleets didn't fight like traditional empires. They fought like predators. Every movement was coordinated. Every strike aimed at command ships, carriers, and fuel lines. Within minutes, the coalition's battle plan fell apart. On a council monitoring station light years away, alien delegates watched the live battle feeds. Their smiles disappeared. What they saw wasn't a desperate defense, it was a planned slaughter. "They waited for us," one delegate whispered. "They built the battlefield," another said. "This is their trap." Back in the battlefield, a colossal alien dreadnought tried to break through the encirclement. It fired its massive plasma cannons, vaporizing a small asteroid field. For a moment, it seemed unstoppable. Then, From behind a nearby moon, 3 human capital ships emerged in perfect formation. Their railguns targeted the dreadnought's engine section. 3 volleys, 3 hits. The dreadnought's core detonated in a silent flash, lighting the darkness like a small sun. The shockwave tore through nearby alien cruisers. Sareth's bridge shook violently as his ships were picked apart. He shouted at his officers. How did they hide this many ships? How? No one had an answer. Meanwhile, human strike teams boarded key enemy vessels. Wearing black combat suits, they moved like shadows through alien corridors, planting charges and taking control of systems before the enemy realized what was happening. Captured ships were turned against their allies mid-battle. Confused alien crews watched their own dreadnoughts suddenly fire on their fleet. Panic consumed the armada. We're firing on each other. Command ship has been hijacked. Retreat! Retreat now! But it was too late to retreat. Every escape route had been sealed. On the Council, emergency signals flooded in. We're losing ships. We're losing sectors. The humans are everywhere. Delegates who had supported the war began shouting in panic. We must call for peace. No, send reinforcements. There are no reinforcements left. Elder Thalen stood in silence. He watched the disaster unfold with sad eyes. They never stood a chance, he murmured. Sareth, surrounded and desperate, stared at the battlefield one last time. Half his fleet was destroyed. The other half was scattered, crippled, or lost in chaos. Human warships moved like a closing fist. A final transmission echoed through every remaining alien ship. It was a human voice, cold, clear, and calm. Congratulations. You just picked a fight with the deadliest species in the universe. The message was followed by coordinated final strikes. Alien command ships exploded in brilliant flashes. The armada was gone. On Earth, in the command room, Admiral Celine gave a single nod. Cease fire. Retrieve survivors for questioning. Officers reported numbers. Over 70% of the coalition fleet destroyed. The rest scattered. No human ships lost. The largest armada in galactic history had been annihilated in hours. Celine turned to Reyes. Send the message to the galaxy. Reyes tapped the console. A single statement was broadcast across every open channel in known space. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget. Across the galaxy, panic erupted. Civilizations that had cheered for war now locked their borders. Trade routes froze. Empires that had mocked humanity began sending desperate diplomatic signals. And somewhere in dark corners, whispers spread like wildfire. The humans are coming. The galaxy had never been this silent. For centuries, countless empires had fought, traded, and schemed in a noisy, chaotic dance. But now, after the destruction of the coalition armada, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The wreckage of the once great fleet floated quietly in human space. Twisted metal drifted among shattered moons and broken carriers. Drones moved like vultures, scanning every piece of debris, salvaging technology and recovering enemy survivors. Inside Earth's main command center, Admiral Celine stood before a giant screen showing the aftermath. Rows of officers worked quietly behind her. No cheering, no celebration, just focus. Captain Reyes approached. The cleanup is underway. We've secured over 200 enemy officers alive. Thousands more surrendered on damaged ships. Celine didn't smile. Her voice was calm, almost cold. Good. Interrogate them. Let them see what happens when they bring war to us. Across the galaxy, the shock was spreading like wildfire. On the capital worlds of the war factions, governments scrambled to explain the disaster to their citizens. News broadcasts played looped footage of the coalition fleet before and after the battle, a proud armada leaving their spaceports. And then silent images of burning hulks drifting in darkness. Crowds gathered in panic. Some demanded to know why their leaders had underestimated the humans. Others began protesting, calling for an end to the war. Fear replaced pride. In one reptilian city, Citizens tore down war posters that had once shown humans as weak and foolish. Now those same humans were being called something else: the apex, the silent predators, the deadliest species. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, chaos returned, but this time, it was not the loud arrogance of politicians. It was the frantic panic of leaders who realized they had made a fatal mistake. Delegates shouted over one another. "We must negotiate. They will demand revenge. Can we even defend our core worlds if they attack?" We started this war, and they ended it in one battle. The council leader slammed his claws on the podium, but no one listened anymore. Factions that had once been united now accused each other of pushing the war. Allies became enemies overnight. Some empires withdrew from the council entirely, sealing their borders in fear of human retaliation. Meanwhile, Elder Thalen watched the broadcasts in silence. His glowing eyes reflected the burning wreckage shown on the screens. A younger delegate approached him. "Elder, what do we do now?" Thalen sighed deeply. "We survive," he said, "and we remember what we should never have forgotten. Humanity was never weak. We were the fools who ignored the warnings." He turned to the chamber's window and whispered, "The galaxy just woke up a sleeping predator." Back on Earth, humanity remained quiet. No grand speeches, no victory parades. In hidden shipyards, fleets continued to grow. Engineers worked without rest. Soldiers trained in underground bases. But something subtle had changed. Across human territory, citizens watched the galaxy's reaction with cold eyes. They remembered the Council's arrogance, the invasion fleets, the threat to their worlds. Now for the first time, the galaxy feared them. Captain Reyes walked through a hallway filled with screens showing intercepted alien broadcasts. Some begged for peace. Others tried to offer alliances. A few called for last stands. He turned to Selene. "They're panicking," he said. "Good," she replied. "Panic keeps them cautious." In the following weeks, envoys from multiple empires arrived near human borders, sending messages of surrender, apology, or desperate pleas for negotiation. None were allowed into human space. Their ships waited for days, then left without replies. Humanity did not answer. Alien diplomats grew desperate. "Why won't they respond?" one insectoid ambassador cried to his superiors. "We want peace." But the humans remained silent. Their silence was more terrifying than their weapons. In remote star systems, entire colonies began evacuating. Civilizations that had supported the war dismantled border outposts, fearing retaliation strikes. Others declared neutrality, cutting all ties to the Council. Trade routes that once ran through human borders went completely empty. Some alien leaders ordered their fleets to defend their home systems, even though no human ship had crossed their space. The fear was enough. Armies were repositioned, governments restructured. Propaganda was quietly erased. Across the galaxy, a single phrase began to spread in whispers: "Never declare war on humans." Inside the Council chamber, after weeks of silence from Earth, a final desperate motion was passed, a unified request for peace. A special envoy was sent toward human space carrying messages from dozens of species offering treaties, reparations, and apologies. The envoy entered the border and waited. 1 day, 2 days, a week. No response. Then, on the 8th day, a single, human transmission appeared on every channel across the envoy's ship. A human voice spoke clearly, calmly, the same voice they had heard before the war. "We remember. We don't forgive so easily. Watch the stars. We decide when to speak." And then the signal ended. The envoy returned to the Council empty-handed. The message spread across the galaxy like a storm. It was not a declaration of conquest, it was worse. It was a reminder that humanity now held the initiative. The galaxy waited, wondering what humanity would do next. Some believed humans would build an empire. Others thought they would strike each empire one by one. Many prayed they would simply remain silent. But deep inside alien hearts, fear had replaced certainty. On Earth, Admiral Selene stood on a balcony overlooking a dark shipyard. Thousands of warships floated silently in orbit. She turned to Captain Reyes. "They're waiting for us to move," she said. "Will we?" Reyes asked. She gave a small, cold smile. "Eventually, but for now let them live with the fear." Far away in a distant council chamber, Elder Thalen gave a private speech to his people. Power is not always loud. Sometimes it is silent, and the silent ones are the most dangerous. He looked up at the star map where Earth glowed faintly in the darkness. "Congratulations," he whispered, repeating the human words. "We picked a fight with the deadliest species in the universe. And now the universe belongs to them.